to our free adult guitar lesson live stream. And I want to thank Doug Kinsella and Justin Biro for joining us. Braden can't make it in today. He's hard at work and love it when somebody's working nowadays. It's a good thing. If this is your first time joining us, you can go to my website, smithmusic.ca, and under our free resources tab, you can find all of the sessions of this that we've done. And so today's topic is ear training for the campfire musician. Finally starting to figure out my intros and outros and all the fun tech stuff. I'm going to unmute you guys and bring you in. Let's see what we got. There we go. I got, oh, there we are. So I got Doug and Justin. Thank you guys for joining me.
No problem. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. I'm going to go gallery view. So everybody's going to see all of us all the time. I think that's what's going to happen. And see if that works. So I brought up this today because we've been doing a lot of time on theory and understanding theory, and ear training is probably the most valuable skill that a musician can have by far. And Doug, it's okay if people are in the background. It's all good. I've had more cats and dogs run through lessons than has ever happened. Um, the so I think this is like the foundational skill for musicians to have. And I really, what it does is when you have really good ear training, you can play along with other musicians and you can respond by what you hear very, very quickly. And it's kind of becoming a little bit of a lost art these days where everything is online with tablature. And now, speaking as the old dude, back in my day where we were using cassette recorders to figure things out, I guess I'm not that old because there wasn't records, but it forced us to figure everything out because you'd spend, at best a $30, which $30 meant something back then, on a book, of your favorite bands, but you wouldn't necessarily be able to get all of the songs that you want to be able to do, which is still true today. I get lots of clients that come in and say, I can't find this tab for this anywhere, or it's not accurate. And that's the other thing, is a lot of times the tabs online are not accurate. And I like it when students can start to figure those things out for themselves. And so I know a bit about where Doug is at with his ear training. Like, Doug, you can listen to a chord progression and basically figure it out. Am I kind of right on that?
Yeah, my little trick, I guess, is often if I have a song on, I'll just take something as simple as, F chord played as a bar. And, most songs you don't have more than a couple of bars that hold a chord. And I'll just play and slide up the neck, kind of keep strumming until I find the sweet spot of where that chord is. And then I'll make a note of what chord that is.
Yeah.
And then I'll wait another 10 seconds and I'll do the same thing. And that usually can find me two of the chords. And from there, I put the rest of the puzzle together.
Nice. I love that. So much of this at first is about having a good strategy, which I'm going to speak to in a minute. And that's a great strategy, Doug, because it's really trial by error. At first, that's the best we have, is try the chord that you hear against every note available and see which one feels the best. Justin, where are you at with ear training? Have you done any formal ear training or worked on things by yourself? Where are you at?
Well, whenever I'm bored and I want to figure out a song, and like you said, I can't find any accurate tabs on it or any accurate chord charts, I'll basically, same thing, trial by error, keep messing around until you can figure it out. And also a little bit in school, every couple of Thursdays, we would do like an ear training class where you would hear, like, my band teacher would play like a nursery rhyme or something. And she would be like, okay, it starts on E. Now figure out how you would play it if the starting note was on F. And you have to figure everything out by ear, and she wouldn't let you use your instrument as much. And you'd have to try and figure it out that way.
Very interesting technique. I like that. That would be very challenging for probably most people, but you.
It was still really challenging, but it's also easier because I'm playing guitar, right? And it's a lot easier to visualize that because I can just see it as the neck of a guitar and just think like, okay, a whole step is 2 frets, versus someone playing the trumpet might have a harder time envisioning that.
That's fair. Guitar is a very visual instrument. Probably the most visual instrument is piano. But guitar, like when you can see it physically, it does make it easier for you for sure. The only thing that I would tweak about that ear training method, and I'm not meaning to criticize another teacher that's not around to defend themselves, is that I do believe in very much having your instrument in your hands and hearing your note that you're trying to find along with the other note, the note that you think it is, your guess. And the reason for that is I learned fairly recently in the last couple of years that I'm pretty sure I trust this information that perfect pitch is something that is developed very early on in babies, like before 6 months. And and if you don't have perfect pitch, then probably the more useful skill is actually relative pitch, where when you hear a pitch and you hear another one compared to it, you can actually get to the information. And it's the most common type of ear that a skilled musician ends up with. There are many, many people that believe that you can develop perfect pitch as an adult, and the scientific data that I've seen just doesn't back it up. Once 6 months is gone, you're done. The Now, is perfect pitch a better skill to have than relative pitch? There's not a good case for that. Relative pitch is just fine, and you can do fantastic with it. So now I like what Doug said about finding a first chord, and so Justin, have you ever, like you said, you've listened to some songs that you just can't find tabs for, and you've worked to figure them out?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put both of you guys to test, and I'm going to play a note, just a single note, and I think I'm relatively in tune. And now the challenge with Zoom is that when I play, as soon as you play, like it turns each other off. There's a noise gate, in between. So
Right.
if you want to hear my note continuously, just play yours fairly quiet on your side, and then I won't be able to hear you if I keep making noise on this side. And just wave when you think you have it. I'm going to black my screen out. Now I'm going to put some very big constraints on it. I'm going to play a note on the sixth string, so our thickest string, between the first and seventh fret. And so I'm going to get Justin to find the first one. Okay, I'm going to black my screen out so you can't see me, you can't cheat. And Justin, can you find this note?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, perfect. And you got it right away. That didn't take long at all. Okay, so Doug, you are up. Same. Actually, I'm going to do the fifth string between the first and seventh fret. I'm going to play a single note. Let's see you find it. There you go. Okay, so both of you guys are starting out with strong ears to start with. One of the things to keep in mind is that as you're figuring out a song, you can develop fatigue, like where your mind kind of starts to play tricks on itself as you're figuring things out. Have either of you noticed that before?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, pretty common. Okay, so now the biggest trick is from our theory conversations is the lowest note of a chord that somebody's playing is the chord name. So I usually recommend, and it's kind of one of the easiest notes to identify in a single way, even if it's bass guitar instead of guitar. So if you're trying to figure out a chord progression, I usually recommend, and I do this a lot, I play on my lowest string single notes until I find the single note of the chords, and then it all starts to fill in. Does that make some sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to play open chords. Justin, I'm going to do a 3-chord progression, and I want to see if you can find out what the chords are for this. Okay.
Okay.
All right, here we go. We're going to do. And wave when you think you've got it.
Yeah.
Okay, you think you got it? What you got there, Justin?
I believe that was C, A, and then G.
C, A, and then G. Play it for me.
Actually, no. I don't know if you.
cool. So here's what I'm going to do. You're actually really close on it. I'm going to black my screen out again, and I want you to play along with me. Play the full chord because you were doing well on the single notes. Play the full chords with me and see if you see if you have it right.
All right.
Okay, here we go. And you can wave when you think you got it. Cool. All right.
Right.
And what you got there, Justin?
So I think I can't tell if I had it. Yeah, so it's A minor then.
Okay. Yep. So you're all right. So your first chord was
C.
Yep.
Like that.
Cool. So your last chord is wrong. First two are right.
Yeah.
Cool. We're gonna roll through this again. You got another guess for me there, Justin?
Honestly, no, I can't figure out what that last note is. To me, it sounds like a G, but it's not right then.
Yeah, and it's funny. And I think Doug's found it, so don't look at his hand. No, that's okay. This is one of those psychological parts of ear training, and this is why I wanted to do some of this with you guys, is that once you hear a note as being correct, it's really hard to change your mind into it not being correct. Right? And I noticed as you were trying to find the new chord, you're still playing the G.
Yeah, because I couldn't figure out, everything else sounded wrong.
Okay, so now you're going to go chromatically, which is play every single note from open on your 6th string to 11th fret on your 6th string, and you're going to find the one that feels the best to you. And then, Doug, you'll be up next. We're going to do this to you. This is the bus is going to go around.
Yeah, that's okay. No problem.
All right, here we go. And then wave when you think you got it there, Justin.
All right.
I think Justin's getting warm on it. Do you have a secondary guess?
No, I don't got it.
Okay, you're going to laugh when you actually hear what it is. Doug, what do you think it is?
Yeah.
Well, first I had C, E minor, and G, and then the last time you played, I thought maybe it's C, A minor, and G.
Okay, so you actually both think the same thing. This is one of those, because that's what Justin was doing, and then when I said it's not a G on the end, he was trying to make it be a G, which is the thing that happens to everybody. It's E minor is the last one.
Okay.
So here it is.
E minor.
Makes sense? And G is the relative major of E minor, as we learned before, so they're pretty closely related chords. That's a fair one. If you're going to mess up, Justin, that's a fair way to do it.
All right.
And I see that Doug is tuning there, which is cool, because that's actually the smartest first thing you do when you go to figure out a song.
That's my problem, is that I'm playing with you. When we had to find the single note, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm out of tune. I'm in tune to myself, but out of tune to everybody else.
That's awesome. So ear training is as much psychological as it is just a physical skill. And one of the things that I want to show you guys is the scientific principle behind how notes work together. So it actually is sound waves that beat against each other. That is music, okay? So much like water waves crashing against each other, if you get waves, traveling at different rates, they actually can join with each other and create a tsunami, a bigger singular note. In an audio world, that would be feedback. And but the other thing that can happen is you can get opposing waves that go kind of against each other, and then in the audio world they don't sound very nice. So for example, with tuning, if I hit these two notes and I slightly detune one, you can actually hear them beating against each other.
Yeah.
Right? When we tune it, in theory, they then completely join with each other. And I'm going to make sure I'm in tune so I'm not asking you guys trick questions. If I can find my tuner, which that would have been smart to have out before I went live. So I guess we're going to go with the fact that I keep my guitars pretty good in tune.
That's why I kept ducking in and out of screen, because I had to find mine.
So that's kind of the scientific principle behind it. But then other notes beat against each other, and they sound nice, right?
Yeah.
Minor can sound nice. A 2, not so much. And all of those intervals, they can actually be used in pleasing ways when you start to change octaves and those kinds of things. But that is the scientific principle behind it, is that you want to listen for how the chord you're playing joins with what you hear, and they amplify each other as much as is possible. Make sense? The best thing I ever did for my playing with ear training was to get to the point that I was figuring out a brand new song per day. And I started out with one a month. And then after it wasn't taking me 9 hours to figure out a song anymore, I moved it to once a week. And the act of doing it really, really develops your ear. As an exercise for musicians to do, it does a few things. It develops your ear, but it shows you a ton of music from the inside out, because you're trying to figure it out and understand what they were thinking. It also gives you this very, very organic understanding of music, and then to see a very broad range of music is really, really smart too. So learning songs the hard way, the benefit of that is unimaginable. Doug, you're up. We're going to do chord progression. So it's going to be all open chords, nothing too tricky, too fancy, and should be fun. Let's see what you got.
Sure.
Okay, we're going to do... What you got there for us, Doug?
I think it's G, D, and C.
G, D, and C? Okay. 2 of those chords are in there, but they're not in that order.
Oh, yeah, I didn't focus on your order. Sorry.
Cool. And I used the same kind of playing pattern from last time. So I'm going to play it again. Tell me what order you believe they are. Okay?
Sure. I think you're playing D, C, and G.
Cool. Justin, what do you think?
I had...
So actually, don't tell me what you had. Don't tell me what you had. What do you think of what Doug has? Does he? Sorry, I asked you a question in a way to set you up to say the wrong thing. What do you think about what Doug's answer is? Do you think he's right? Do you think he has some of it right?
I think he's got some of it right, but now I don't know because I screwed up mine, so maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
Maybe it's F and not D. Maybe it's F and not D.
Okay, let me play it again, and you can confirm that. Sorry, did I not play it long enough, Doug?
No, it's fine. I think it's F. F, C, G.
Cool. So I'm going to give Doug one for the win and Justin for the assist.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Um, the so yeah, so this is kind of one of the ways that we really start to do ear training, and I would listen for songs that have very clear like guitar intros where they're strumming chords, not necessarily picking a whole lot, and then start to find the single notes and see if you can find the chords. Now, it's tough to know before you start figuring out a song. Something often that sounds easy is not, right? Because a pro plays it and they want it to sound fluid and sound really good. But I would work to find as many of those kind of single note things that you can, and then put the chords to them. Sometimes a person can be, playing that same chord progression, but have a capo on their first fret. That'll throw you for a loop because then
Oh
you're
yeah.
figuring out as F sharp, C sharp, and G. Right, and to know where the capo could be, and there's sometimes a few places a capo could be. So it's easy. Now the advantage of tablature online is you can use it as a partial reference to see if you like what they did better than what you did.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's kind of like a double checking thing. Um, the Okay, so and you guys really understood what I was saying about the um, how the waves beat together, like when you're playing along with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So our next thing that we're going to want to do is let's figure out an individual note pattern. So I'm going to play something that's pretty simple, 5 notes long or so, and I'm going to blank out my screen, and I'm going to mute both of you guys as well. And you can wave when you think you have it, and both of you guys can figure it out at the same time. Let's see if that works. Okay. This
All
will
right.
let it. You will be able to look at the other guy, but you won't be able to hear him. So let's see how this works. And why is it not letting me? Oh, okay. Here we go. And you're going to wave when you think you have it. So we're going to do 2, 3, 4. I got to play it the same every time. Let's try that one more time. Okay, one more try on me. I'm going to play it almost the same. I just got to remember what I was doing. Okay, Doug thinks he has it. What about Justin? Not that I was being real fair because I kept changing it in little ways all the time.
Yeah, I
Justin
got it.
thinks he has it. Okay, Doug, you wave first. Let's see what you got.
I think it's one of the ones you played, I think, is this. Um,
Cool, cool. And Justin, what do you have?
Same sort of thing. Something like that.
Actually, you guys both get points on that because that was a variation of what I was playing in all different ways. Okay, now I'm gonna play.
that's your point of tablature being different online all the time, right there.
So true. It's so true. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna play 2 notes together at the same time. So it's not a full chord, and it's going to be on your sixth, fifth, or fourth string, any combination of those 3 strings, but 2 notes at once. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm gonna mute you guys again. We're gonna rock the house. This will be easier for me to not keep changing. Here we go. Let's do this. And you can wait. Yeah, Justin's waving, and I'll wait for Doug. Doug thinks he's got it. Okay. What do you guys have? I'm going to unmute you so we can. There we go. What do you think you got, Justin?
To me, it sort of sounds like a C sharp power chord.
Okay. Cool. Doug, what'd you think?
I won't be as fancy. I'll number. So 5th string, 4th fret, and 4th string, 7th fret.
Okay, so Justin's answer was this, and Doug's was this. Both of you got the low note, but the high note is wrong for both of you guys.
Okay.
Okay, let's give that a shot again.
Oh,
Justin's got it.
yeah.
Sorry, and I didn't mute you guys. That's all good. Let's try her again. And yeah, I know Justin's got it. I'm just waiting for Doug to wave. I think Doug's having some of the trying to play what he was playing before and make it work. Okay, we'll call her good there. So I know Justin got it. He got it, and he did the forehead slap. He went, "Oh my goodness, that's what it was." So what do you got there for us, Justin?
So that was C sharp and F.
It was. It was. So Doug, what this would be close up is you had the fourth note right, and it was your third fret on your fourth string. You want to try those two notes together, Doug?
Ah, there it is.
Yeah, it's
Why don't you go tone deaf a little bit?
Yeah, and because this does get
yeah.
It gets very fatiguing after a while, and it doesn't take long. So what I would recommend for both of you guys with this is, and I know you both have other projects and those kinds of things that you're wanting to do, but keeping in mind, I'm saying this is probably the most valuable skill any musician can do, and both of you have the capability to do it. Dedicating a little bit of time to using it is going to help every other skill that you have, even from understanding theory. And the way that'll work is that if you figure out a bunch more songs, you'll see a whole bunch more material, and which gives you more reference when we start talking about theory things. I'll be able to say, hey, that song is just your major scale or your pentatonic scale, and you can see it because you've seen so much more music. Both of you guys are very strong with this out of the gate, and I've trained many people to be able to do this type of thing that are starting off with a lot less than you guys. And a lot of people think you either have an ear or you don't. It's really not true. A lot of it, the hardest challenge for me at the beginning was I would see my music teacher figure things out, and it seemed like magic, like they were just channeling things, and they would listen, and all of a sudden they could play it. And I'm like, well, what are you listening for? Because I'm listening to the same song and I don't get it. But you guys both have a strong foothold on this, and anybody can do it. That's kind of the message I wanted to give for anybody that's watching. Does that make sense to both of you guys?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I'm great at assigning tasks to people. I think that's this is it. Like, this is like probably the most valuable. Like I said, I'm going to check our Facebook for other comments, because this one you can even record things yourself, like records two notes together, like what we just did, in all kinds of different combinations, and record so many that you can't possibly keep track of what you've played, so that you can actually kind of do this type of thing with yourselves. That is definitely one method. You can make up chord progressions. Hopefully, you can do better than me and play the same thing again and again, and then try to figure them out, and record, 4, 5, or 6 in a row, and then that it's going to be within your level to do as you start to figure it out. Does that make sense to both of you guys?
Yeah.
The other thing that people have done. And Sunday Simpson joined us, and she's getting things working. That's good. How are you doing, Sunday? And she's got a good ear too. So if you start to be able to be your own kind of test subject on it, I think that'll be crazy valuable for both of you guys. Any questions from either of you on it?
No, I think I'm good.
Awesome. Okay. Well, and Doug, yeah, go ahead.
It was interesting. It's in my wheelhouse. I'm pretty comfortable because I started teaching myself as a teenager. So back in the same era, you and I, and there was almost nothing available. You could go to Mr. Entertainment and get a music book by some artist. and it taught me, what it taught me also was what chords go together. Because I remember getting a sheet from somebody one time, and it, if you found G in a song, then at least you knew what typical grouping of chords went. And I know as I learned to grab a song, that was probably one of the biggest things that taught me what that grouping looked like, was because if I could just figure out one chord, then I kind of intuitively knew where to start jumping to see if I could get the other ones, especially if I was, wanted to do something quickly. So I'm pretty comfortable there. And then single note is, again, that's almost like a melody. So, but as soon as you went to two notes together, that's a little bit of uncharted water for me,
Yeah,
and had a little bit more difficult time with that.
I totally could see that. Uh, Justin, how do you like? 'Cause so Doug and I kind of grew up in a similar era of you're either going to the music store to buy things, or you're figuring it out by yourself. Do you kind of by default go to online first?
Well, I do, like when I first started playing, I relied a lot on tablature, but I quickly figured out that just because someone posted it on the internet doesn't mean they're better at reading and understanding music. So you quickly learn, like, I'm trying to play whatever song, Crazy Train, and you're like, huh, this doesn't sound right. So you quickly learn like how to fix things. And in band class, I was terrible at reading music. The first like 3 years, I didn't read any of it. I just figured it out.
That's awesome. So you would figure it out by ear.
Yeah, because I was playing bass guitar in junior high. So it was
Hmm.
lots of like listening to trombones and just going, okay, and just messing around with it.
So okay, that's awesome. That's actually good that you've had to, essentially tablature online for you was a trick question.
Yeah.
More, and I said for years that tablature online has a 50% chance of being 50% right. Over time, things have gotten whittled away to it is more accurate because people have come along and corrected it. So that is becoming a little bit less and less true, but that is really really true. So I think I'm not going to hold you guys here for an hour like I did last time. And you guys did both amazing with this, and but I did want to leave you with this because Justin alluded to, actually Doug, you alluded to this, is excuse me, you said I'm not sick, just clearing my throat. Um, the Doug, you said you're going through a song and you find a G, for example, and you know the other chords that typically go with it. So kind of I'm going to say 2.0 on this, or 2.1, is if you can hear a song and without knowing what chord it is, determine that chord as the key of the song, right? Where you kind of know this is the cadence of the song. Then you find it, then play your major or minor scale along with it and determine, is this in a major key or minor key? This is kind of how I do it now. And then as soon as, like, if you find out it's in the key of G major, for example, and I showed you that chord chart sheet that showed all of 7 common chords, I'm now not looking for 12 chords. I've got it narrowed down to 7,
Yeah.
right? So starting to compound those things on each other over time will work.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I think that's important for the campfire king, because what I find happens a lot of time when we're sitting around playing is, especially today in the era of iPhones, and with my sight starting to go a little bit at my age, someone will say, "Hey, do you know this song?" And they'll play like an Ed Sheeran song or something. And if I can just get the first chorus usually or the first chord fairly quickly, and that's why I like to use a bar chord, because it takes away the capos.
Yep.
If I'm sliding my hand up and all of a sudden I'm playing G 1 fret down, I know that the song is probably capoed. And then I can, from there, I usually like to try and have just the basics of the song figured out by the time the artist has done the first verse. And then everybody around the campfire wails into the chorus, drowns out the phone. And if you don't have your proverbial crap figured out by then, it becomes a cappella and you beat on the back of your guitar and it kind of loses the whole campfire mood. But that's
Exactly.
fast and dirty how I do it in 2019.
That is a perfect description of the campfire guitar thing, um, and sometimes that's the most awesome thing ever, and sometimes it's slightly disappointing.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's only 2.5 minutes of the song left, so how bad can it be for how long, right?
That's right. That's right. And then you're on to the next one. And if you get two of those in a row, then you got to say, okay, let's go to my list. What do I actually know? And let's get at least one going.
That's right. That's right.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. And I look forward to next week. And you guys totally rock. And I really, I know I'm getting texts from people mostly that are saying, hey, thanks for doing this. And so I appreciate you guys' time. And I hope you're having fun. At least I'm having a blast. So I know one of us is having fun. And I thank you again for being here.
Thanks for having us, man.
No
All
problem.
right. We'll see you next Monday.
See ya.